The death this week of a Southern Kentucky football player has us asking questions about sports injuries in young people. The number of overall sports-related injuries is decreasing, according to a study presented at an annual meeting of orthopedic surgeons.
Yeah, however, the number of head and neck injuries is on the rise. WKYT's Kelsey Soto is talking to those in the sports medicine community about risk for student athletes. It's our top story at 4:30.
Almost 8 million high school students are involved in sports each year, with 57% of students playing at least one. Peter Gray is an athletic trainer at Henry Clay and says they're constantly monitoring players before and after games and watching closely from the sidelines to look for any signs or symptoms of injury. He says a broken bone would be more obvious than that of a concussion.
Head and neck injuries makes up an abundance of injuries that we see, kind of the soccer injuries and football injuries that we see a lot of, for sure.
Some experts worry if the new safety equipment and injury prevention guidelines are being applied correctly. Data release shows football and girls soccer are the two sports with the highest injury rates. He tells me while helmets are helpful, they aren't foolproof.
Helmets itself are not going to prevent a concussion, right? So in and of itself, it's kind of there to prevent the bigger head injuries. Maybe, it might be extreme, but a skull fracture or things like that.
Studies show the head and face are the most commonly injured body site, followed by ankle and knee. Research indicates more injuries occur during competition than during practice.
Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes, in a contact sport, you can just collide and you might have contact with the turf, the grass, or with another player, and sometimes that happens. But we do want to absolutely push to take out the unnecessary contacts.
In Lexington, Kelsey Soto, WKYT.
Well, the data also shows that the injuries reported are becoming more severe and many more are requiring surgery.